To advertise with us, reach us via the email marketing@courtfm.co.ke or call us on 0714 308 277. Court FM. Let the music play.
Very, very good evening. Welcome to Kurt FM and Mizani 254. My name is Lukiani Eli. On this 9th of February 2026, it's on Monday, and on Monday it's all about the bigger picture. Guess what? As always, we endeavor to bring you meaningful conversations, and that's why Mizani 254, it's where meaningful conversations thrive, and we welcome you to be part and parcel of the scales of balance. If you are tuned in for the first time, we'd like to take the opportunity to welcome you to follow our pages. That is at Mizani 254 on X, and also we are available on YouTube. And you can also follow this program live by streaming through the X broadcast. You can equally listen in through courtfm.co.ke. That said, ladies and gentlemen, on Mondays, it's all about conversations, and I'm hoping as you come through to have this conversation with us, you come in with an open mind. If you are a young person, this is the right place to be tonight, because we want to really look at matters elections, and if your vote really counts. We know we are already on the countdown towards the elections that will be happening in the month of August come 2027. But then again, as we do that, I want us to take an opportunity just to reflect. And as we reflect on that, we'll also be bringing in some of what I will say interesting speakers to join the conversation in order for us to be able to proceed as planned. I already have my guest who is on standby for that. But in the meantime, we are also live on X Spaces. So I would love to just find out from the individuals who are joining us live on X, if they are able to hear us in order for us to proceed. Diamond, today you'll be helping me as my co-host from the other end, just to be able to make sure that we are as planned, we are ready to proceed. I also see our guest of the night is waiting, because this is the night we've all been waiting to have, a night of conversations, a night of reflection, and of course at the end of the day to come up with what I will term as way forward for this country. Remember, as we do have these conversations, we have always encouraged open mind, but that does not belittle or undermine the input from other speakers, the platform itself, and of course the guests that we bring in. And therefore we encourage, as you dispense your points, as you dispense your alternative mindset, please adhere to what we term as parliamentary language. That said, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to bring you the gentleman that decided he is not going to listen to anybody, because at one point he had the opportunity to speak to the president. He spoke his mind, really, literally. I don't know if that was then, and today if he's changed his language and how he talks about matters, politics, elections, and the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to bring you our guest. You know him, and it's time for him to speak to us. Mabonga Wanjara Marvin. Good evening to you, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening, sir. I'm fine. Yeah. Good.
Karibu sana.
I'm here tonight to engage with Kenyans and even the world at large.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure having you here. And as you correctly put it, we are here to engage with Kenyans and the world at large, because we are streaming this on all our platforms. And it's really interesting to have you back here. I was supposed to say Happy New Year, but I think since it's February, should I say Happy Valentine's to you?
You shouldn't say Happy New Year, because you never said Merry Christmas. Unfortunately, during that time, I had gone through a very severe accident, and so I was recuperating. There was no Happy New Year, so I wouldn't take a Happy Valentine's from you. Anyway, who are you to wish me a Happy Valentine's?
You know, this is very political. Mabonga has decided to come gun blazing, but then again, I'm equal to the task, and I'm hoping really we can have this talk. So Mabonga, greetings to you once again, and it's really, really an honor to have you. I know you've been on the road for quite some time now. The last time I checked, you had gone to places only that can be read during biblical terms. I saw something like Mogadashe. I saw another one. Almost thought you are walking the walk of Jesus. What are you doing in the coastal part of the country, Mabonga?
Currently, I'm in the northeastern part of Kenya. Last week is when we were in the coastal part of Kenya, whereby we were sensitizing Kenyans, the young people, the older people to register as voters, and even the importance of having the national IDs. And so we are here with the larger UGM party aspirants league. That is the young people, and even our president candidate, His Excellency CJ Emeritus David Maraga. And so what we are doing now is to sensitize young people to come out and register as voters, because we are anticipating that the coming general election, that is in 2027, we'll be seeing a lot of young people coming out to make their decision, and not just the young people, even the older people. And so that is what we've been doing, and we anticipate that.
Did we lose you, Marvin, by any chance? Oh, my apologies. I think Marvin's phone seems to be really burning hot and everybody's trying to contact him. Let's see. I'm trying to also connect to all of you who are joining us on X. So if you can hear me, let me just know in order for us to be able to engage in this conversation. Our topic for the night, it's on your vote, your voice. And for a long time, of course, we've heard that the young people have a chance to change how elections are run in this country, how governance is run in this country, and how our future will be come after 2027. And that's why we would love really to have an interaction with all of you. And I see Marvin is back. I warned him to have a D&D, but he decided not to. Mweshimiwa, you have to get used to this name. I'm finding it difficult to call you one because nimekuzoea vibaya. Just allow me to call you Marvin for tonight.
But of course, I'm not a Mweshimiwa. Mweshimiwas are the ones who sit in an office and then they wait for other people to do work for them. And so, personally, I'm a people servant, and that's why I'm all over in the country. So, the name Mweshimiwa wouldn't be prudent for me if it comes out of you and any other person, because I wouldn't want to be a leader who sits in an office.
All right, sawa. You are not in the office, you are out in the field. So let's start from where it all began. You, at one point, were one of the very many young people who were on the street agitating for change, specifically with the finance bill, which we all at one point said it must not be passed into law. And of course, some gains were made. How did you transverse from becoming the active citizen in the field, and now you're becoming the politician that at one point we thought were not the right people to have in office? Why the interest in politics? All right, that happens with live sessions.
To advertise with us, reach us via the email marketing@courtfm.co.ke or call us on 0714 308 277. Court FM. Let the music play.
And welcome back once again to the conversation. Yes, we might be struggling with the signal that is coming from the end of Marvin, and I'm hoping once he's able to rejoin the call, we'll be able to proceed. Marvin, if you can hear me once again, I don't know what I should do with your callers.
No, it's not actually callers. I think it's internet issues, because I just said I'm in the northern part of Kenya, so sometimes there is lagging of the internet. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can. Now I can hear you loud and clear, and I'm hoping we'll be able to proceed with the call. So now, my initial question to you was, from the field that is activism, sort of, and now you are politically charged, why the change of heart?
First of all, I think Kenyans do get me wrongly. I've been playing politics since then, even before the 2024 Gen Z agitation. I started my politics way back in high school. I vied for various positions in high school, and I did so in campus, won several, failed several, and so coming to 2024, that is when I had just graduated from campus, and so I was a fresh man out here. So the 2024 agitation actually is not that I had not declared that I would be going to vie for any position, but then I had that interest even before the Gen Z agitation. And so the activism part, it was just actually trying to do what is right for a common Mwananchi, because even when you look at our constitution, we as the citizens have that power, of course, to question the status quo. So I wasn't doing it because I'm an activist or transforming from an activist to maybe a politician. So I was doing it because I felt it was good for me by that during that time. And even if it happened today, I still do it because the Constitution of Kenya allows me to do that, to exercise my right.
What has the transition been like for you? Because we really are saying we want to have young people engaged in politics actively. We are also looking forward to, for once in our lifetime, to see that our vote actually means something. What have you learned through the ropes actively into politics?
I think sometimes, okay, when I came into this space, I know what has kept me here is resilience and even the being focused, because at some point, even on this social media platform, when you try to do something, there are some people who are lamenting here and there. There are those who probably wants to pull you down. So personally, from my end, something of the sort has not made me lose hope. And so it has been hard, of course, trying, especially going out there to bigger platforms, speaking to the people. At some point, you feel like you have said nothing, especially when you're speaking to people and then there's no response, there is maybe negative feedback. But then something of the sort has not led me to giving up, because I understand that success is a result of persistence and passion. And I've always had that passion to come out clearly as a young person, to, of course, defend my right and even for other people, and even try to speak up my mind. From where I stand, I believe is the right time for the young people to come out and take all these, most of these political positions. Remember, the people whom we are having, is not that they will be there forever. Yeah, there is that transition. There needs to be that transition from the older generation to the young generation, and then when other generation comes, there is that handing over. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to come into this space, to ensure that there is that continuation of leadership. So as a young person, I'm expecting much. Not all positive, of course. There are negative that will come all along, but then they wouldn't deter me from pursuing my passion, and even achieving all the goals that I believe I need to achieve as a young person who is entering into the leadership positions.
Well put, Mabonga, and I really appreciate where you're coming from based on the issues you've been able to put on the table. Now, understandably, political representation remains the core of how our society functions, because politics affect your economic status. Politics affect even the social life that you and I will enjoy, including having a wife, which some of us don't. And I'm not talking about us because sisi ni wazee. But anyway, the point here is, Mabonga, when you look at the patterns that have been evolving over the years, do you think the young people are actually ready to take the mantle? Because I see a lot of succession politics becoming almost a cutthroat kind of a fight. I mean, I don't need to mention some of the parties that are finding themselves in such a situation. So in your view, and looking at the patterns that are evolving, are we ready for the next big step? And why do you think we are, or we are not ready?
Personally, I believe at this point we are ready. What we need to understand is most of these leaders who are there, they didn't find themselves in those positions at the very old age as they are. You look at Mudavadi entered into parliament when he was 28 years old. Look at the current president, he entered into politics when he was about 27. And so this is the very right time for us young people, especially who are between the age of 20 and 35, to come out. there is nothing hard for us. There is nothing hard for us, because the only thing we need to understand is that there is that gap that needs to be filled, and that gap will be filled by the young people. And so, even if you look at other parties that are fighting, especially the old and the young generation, it's because all these young people feel like those people have been there before. They haven't done that much, and they haven't seen the fruit of their labor. And so, as a result, most of us needs to ascend into these positions. What I understand is it's not going to be that easy. It's going to be hard. But then, if we all unite as the young people, remember, the young people between the age of 18 to 35, they actually sum up to almost 70% of the total population of this country. So it's up to us to sit down and understand each other, to try to negotiate with each other and see how we are going to take the leadership mantles. But then, if we fight against each other, if we try to pull down those who are rising, then it will be difficult for us. The only thing we need to do now is to try and come together as the young people, be united and forge forward, because that is the only thing that can be done. What we need to understand is there is only one position. There is only one presidential position. There is only one deputy president's position. There is only one speaker's position. There is only one MP position for Kimilili. So we can't all be the MPs for Kimilili. We can't all be the presidents. It's a matter of who is capable to do what. If we realize that and understand and get to know everyone's strength, then it will be so easy for us to take these leadership positions.
So thank you. You're talking about, what is the reality of politics in terms of the competition that exists. And of course, the positions cannot be as many as we would love for them to be because of obvious reasons. Now, the constitutional limitations, the economic aspects, among others. You have been in the northern eastern part of the country. Did you say that?
In fact, I'm in the northern part of Kenya. Currently, I'm in Wajir County.
You're in Wajir County. You have been able to meet the young people in Wajir County, right? Are they enthusiastic about the next election?
What I get to understand from this end is that they're not that much enlightened as a young person whom I will meet in Nairobi and even in Nakuru, because at some time information gets zinafika huku late, but they don't get this right information on the right time. And so you find out that at some point, some even don't know who is the president of Kenya, honestly. I've been able to engage with a few. Some even don't know who is the deputy president currently. Some don't know who is the speaker of the National Assembly as we speak. Yeah. So you'll find out that most of these young people in this region, there is something that probably is a priority to them. Especially, you see, it's a pastoral region. So Mifugo is a priority to them, even more than having a land to farm and even having a title deed for that land and even knowing who is the president of this country. And so what we are trying to do now is we're trying to offer some civic education to them so that they can realize the importance of engaging in political affairs, the importance of following up on what is happening, even in the western side of the country, the lower side of the country, the eastern side of the country. That is what we are doing. But what I believe is the problems that are even in being at the table when the slice and the cake of the country is being divided. And so most of them, they're ready for change, especially when you share with them the issues that touches them and explain to them how the current government has failed them so that they can realize the benefit of the laborers, the benefit of for them being Kenyans. So that is what we are going to do. Civic education is more important to them and trying to explain to them what needs to be done, especially when it comes to the electioneering period.
Interesting, Mabonga, and I like the fact that you're talking about civic education and the fact that some of these things appear to be far-fetched for them. They live in a different reality, and the reality they live in is that the things that are happening in Kenya, because I've had that in the past when I used to travel to Canada. I think the changes have happened so far. But if I was to still stay with Wajir where you are right now, you have been able to meet young people who, to some extent, are behind the news. They do not know what is happening. Do they even understand the role of their vote and the people they elect into office? Because that is one thing. I would love to know what has been your experience.
It is very interesting. I was in Garissa today, and I was actually conversing, and what really happens here is totally different from what happens in Western, what happens in Nairobi, because at some point these people have they have their clans and even in their tribes. So what happens is, it doesn't matter whether you have performed as an MP or not. What matters is, when you're done with your 5 years, there is someone else who is online. So it's kind of something like hereditary. So after some 5 years, the clan sits together. Kuna wale wazee wa nini wanajiita aje, wazee, they sit together and decide on who is going to be maybe the MCA, who is going to be the MP, and even the governor perhaps. And so something of the sort has really shocked me, because I thought we do elect people based on their performance. We do elect people based on how well they can serve the people. But then here, at some point, it's so hard for them. So they sit down and choose who is going to be the next leader.
So in a nutshell, what you're talking about is the people in Garissa are having more of a clan arrangement on how leadership transfers hands.
Exactly, and that is what I've also heard from here in Wajir. So there is a lot that needs to be done, especially to explain to these people and let them know how it is important for them to make personal decisions, not being influenced to make decisions by the clan elders and even the regional leaders. By doing that, then they will realize that whatever they have been yearning for, even if it's development of roads, development, getting food for their livestock, they will find it very easy. But then if someone knows that next year or next cycle of election I'll be in line to be the member of parliament or MCA, then they'll come in, steal their money, and then go to some leafy suburbs in Nairobi, huko Karen, find some good land, stay there, and then they do forget their village mates. Yep.
Interesting. And I love what you're saying. Mabonga, we are also joined with listeners and speakers from the other side of the platform. I think some of them might have questions. If they don't have, they could have some comments. Let's just find out what they think about what we've discussed so far. And our very large topic tonight is your vote, your voice. Does it really matter when elections happen? What is it about you as a young person or the youth of this country that your vote can do or not do, as we talk about good governance, among others? I'm crossing over to X, where we have Diamond on standby. I'd love to find out what he has for us. Diamond, good evening, if you can hear me.
Good evening. I don't know if you can hear me. There is not 100% clear, but we can hear you. Just confirm you can hear me.
Diamond, there might be a problem. I will definitely come back to you in a few. I think the system has refused to comply. These people were only but hearing different talk from our end. Diamond, can you confirm that you are now all system go? Diamond? All right. I think they are having a overhead signal, so allow me to fix that, and then we come back to you. Diamond and team, we do apologize. That's why I'm sure people were dropping off. But they broadcast, it's also live. You can watch it on our session that is happening live on our X platform. And of course, we do apologize. We'll be able to give you the right audio feed in a few minutes from now. In the meantime, we are discussing and having a chat with Marvin Mabonga. Marvin Mabonga is a UGM aspirant for the Kimilili Member of Parliament, and he has said he thought of it and decided, this is how I'm going to engage. And it's not something that is done just from yesterday. He's actively participated even in university politics. I'm not sure if this will translate into him becoming the Member of Parliament Kimilili, but let's find out if he has more on set for us. But in the meantime, as we try to sort out all of you who are joining us live on X, we want to apologize for that. We'll be able to come to you in a few. Just give us a few minutes of grace. Thank you.
To advertise with us, reach us via the email marketing@courtfm.co.ke or call us on 0714 308 277. Court FM. Let the music play.
All right, and yes, we are back. And this is very, very interesting. You know, when you're the technician at the same time, you are doing the transmission for your guest, it becomes more difficult. Let's find out. Diamonds, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, Diamonds and team, you will have to bear with us. We'll just, we'll make this work for us in a few. Just be patient. I think I know why we are having that. We had two signals running. Yes, sir.
I told you that I'm an engineer. I did telecommunication engineer in engineering in campus, and so you should employ me. You should be struggling with equipment.
I think somebody needs to be fired. Obed was supposed to be here, and he's decided that this is not. This is something that I have to do on my own. But let's find out if you're able to fix that problem. All right. Once again, Diamonds, if you can hear me, good evening.
Yes, I can hear you. Just confirm. Am I audible now?
Sasa sisi tuko sawa kabisa. I think also my good friend who is our guest, Marvin, can be able to hear you.
Okay.
All right. Proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Marvin. I hope you are well. Nice to know that you're in Nigeria and the northern part of the country. I think I've followed you for quite some time. It's nice seeing that the youths are now playing in the game. I know it might look difficult, but if somebody doesn't do it, then it will never happen. Mm-hmm. So it's important to obviously throw our support behind those that actually take the risk and take advantage of the opportunities that come with it. I have said not once, not twice, I've said many times that civic education is an expensive, time-consuming, and a difficult thing. It's a difficult job. To move that needle a little bit, you need a lot of work. For him to move from, I think, Garissa to Wajir, that's almost 300, 400 kilometers away from each other. And they have to do that in many other places. Good that somebody is starting it. I think one of the biggest questions that we should ask ourselves is, how do we scale this up? How do you scale it to a larger audience? How do we, at one point, have one speaker talking to more people? I know the internet might not answer that question, because even as you look at the number of people that actually access the internet at any given time, we're probably talking at about less than 10 or even less than 1% of our population. The number of masses that are out there, there are other media platforms that we need to also look at. I think radio is still very big. And despite the fact that Kenya is recorded as one of the most literal countries in Africa, literacy levels are recorded to be very high. But simple questions in the streets cannot be answered by anyone. They do not really even know what corruption, for example, what's the impact of corruption to their daily lives. Many people cannot really relate to the fact that the looting that goes out in the country is affecting social institutions, it's affecting schools, it's why they go to hospitals and they cannot get medicine, it's why their children cannot actually go to school, it's why the level of education in schools is not very good. These things, to be connected, somebody must go out there and get it done. So it's important that the UGM party is starting it. Even as we head into next year, importantly is, I think there are almost 5 to 10 million Kenyans who have an ID but do not have a voter's card. Let me repeat. There are about 5 million Kenyans who hold a national ID but do not have a voter's card. And a bigger percentage of that is actually the youth. If this voter base is registered, and if this same voter base is actually mobilized to vote, then there will be a serious change next year. I know obviously the UGM party, even as it goes forward, would consider, after building its own necessary base, they will obviously consider to work with other parties of like-minded individuals. I think Kenyans are ready for change. This administration has obviously failed. I think for me it's very clear: overtaxation, corruption, incompetence, overborrowing. Hey, I can go on and on and on. But for our social institutions, I think we need somebody who will fix our healthcare. We need somebody who will fix our education system. We need somebody who will ensure that kids actually go to school and they don't stay at home. And we need somebody who will understand that social welfare is at the core and at the center of the development of the nation. So I think my comment to Mabonga is that keep it up, boss, keep it up. Quite some work. I think the next step is to ask the question, how then do we register all these Kenyans that are not registered? How does this message go to even more people? Obviously, it needs finances, but we need to ask ourselves, how do we take this message to more people? Thank you. Do we print place cards and put them and send them through the country? Do we need the billboards? But even if you do billboards, it will only work in Nairobi, and it will only work for someone who is moving. And many of these youths, there are even people who would get in Nairobi. Somebody lives in Huruma, he has never gone past Huruma. Somebody lives in Dandora, maisha yake tu iko hapo. So if you do your billboard in Langata, or if you do your billboard in Westlands, they'll never see it. So I don't know. There are many other media opportunities. There are probably newspapers that can go, not mainstream newspapers. There are smaller newspapers. There are smaller posters that can be shared. We need to print this information. When we talk about corruption, what are these corruption scandals that we are talking about? When we talk about murder, where are the names of the people that have been killed? When we talk about abductions, who has this state abducted? When we talk about overborrowing, how much has this government borrowed? When we talk about overtaxation, what do we mean? Which taxes have they increased, and there are no commensurate services? Quite some work, but needs to be done, because I do believe that William Ruto does not deserve a single day in office past the 9th of August 2027. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Diamonds, who is joining us from the X link. And for all of you who are just joining in into the conversation on the bigger picture tonight, we are having a conversation about your vote, your voice, rather your vote, your voice. And our guest tonight, we are hanging out with Marvin Mabonga. Marvin Mabonga is a very interesting gentleman. And if you haven't met him in the past, then I don't know how much I can be able to elaborate about him. But what I can say for free is he has been able to cut a good amount of space for himself in the political field, thanks to everything that he agitates for, including voter registration. And they have been pitching camp in the northern part of the country. As we speak today, amenionyesha picha alikuwa Mogadashe juzi. Sasa naambia ako sijui wajia wapi. But sijui kama kona ngamia. We'll find out kama ampewa ngamia ama anatakana kupeana ngamia.
Ella, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Huku ngamia tumetoka Mogadashe all the way to Habashwini. Yeah, Mogadashe is in Garissa, and then Habashwini or sijui inaitwaje is in Wajir. Along that way tumeona ngamia wengi sana, wengine wamekufa, wametapakaa tu hapo kwa sababu ya drought. So at some point, like, it's not something to laugh about, but the world is really interesting out here. So people needs to come and see for themselves, because there is no, I mean, I just don't know how to explain to them. But then I want to agree with Diamond
Yeah.
that we have a lot of people out there who have the national IDs, but they haven't registered for to vote. I mean, they don't have voters card. I was recently in Kwale, very interior place, and what I find out is that they were not the young people who were coming out to register. Most of the people who were coming out to register were the old people. And I was like, honestly, at the age of 50, 60, where have you been? You have never been participated in a general election. So what the UGM party has tried to do is to persuade the IEBC to go to very most interior places so that people can come out and register. And so the young people who are out there, wajitokeze wa register, because we wouldn't want to use them as an example of the people who are not coming out to register. Afadhali saizi niseme ni wakina mama zetu na kina baba zetu, but it wouldn't be a good picture for me as a young person to say that the young people are not coming out to register as voters. So I want to agree with Diamond. We have a lot of people who have national IDs, but they haven't registered for voting. I mean, to vote. So if you know of any, just encourage them to go to an IBC center and register as a voter. Eli.
Probably my question then will be, why do you think that's the case, Marvin? Why is it that despite the gruesome reality of the bad leadership we've experienced, or the doubting that has existed in our current status quo, why do you think the young people are not in a hurry to actually go and register as voters?
It's not just the young people, because at this point we should be talking about Kenyans, because I thought it's only the young people who haven't registered. I can honestly tell you for free that we have people who are in their 50s, 60s out here who don't have the voting cards, and so we need to sensitize them. So, for instance, now where I am currently, yeah, you find out that even the climatic conditions here, they don't allow someone to actually walk some 1 or 2 kilometers away to go and register. So possibly that is one of the reasons why they do not take part into these civic exercises. So what I've been insisting, and I'm so happy that IEBC actually announced recently, the IEBC, what they need to do is to roll out the mass voter registration, because if you go to these people, remember I said I was in Kwale recently, and for a single day we registered over 150 people. We had over 150 people coming out to register. Why? Because we had brought IEBC close to them. So what needs to be done is the IEBC to roll out mass voter registration. By doing so, they'll be able to move very close to where these young people are, where these Kenyans who don't have the voting cards are. Then they will come out to do the registration. But then also what we need to do is to sensitize them, because remember I said there are some people who actually don't know what entails in even voting out here. So by reaching out to them,
Mabonga, did I lose you by any chance? Seems like we have an interruption there. But it was talking really about the issue of having everyone play part. And if you're listening in and you love to have questions, or rather ask questions to our guest, this is the time for you to request the mic. I see you, Abdullah, your county or your people have been mentioned in terms of not really showing up. The climatic condition playing a major role to the issue of registration. Very interesting. Maybe does that also inform the voting patterns that happen, the turnaround when it comes to the voters on the day of elections? That is something we might just need to put, a pen on it or a pin on it and decide to further it and be able to understand the intrigues that the people, especially in the northern part of the country, have to deal with in the times of elections. I would love to also have one more speaker joining us. Let's find out if, all right, looks like we don't have more. But Diamonds, you have really pitched a lot of camp in the northern part of the country. From your experience, do you think that informs also the voters' turnout? Because it's something that cannot be ignored, Diamonds.
Mm, I first wanted to say, as of 2022, there were about, I've seen 7.8 million Kenyans who held a national ID but had not registered and did not register even by the time of voting. Another 8 million did not show up to vote. So even those that had been registered, another cool 8 million Kenyans did not show up to vote. So you're talking about 16 million Kenyans who did not either vote or did not register.
Yeah.
That's a huge number. I think progressively, some of the things that need to be done is that IBC does not do enough in terms of marshalling Kenyans to go and register. These cannot, they have a budget to do that. It might be one of the items they call voter suppression. It might be one of the items, because how can we explain why over 8 million Kenyans who have an ID do not actually register as voters? However, let me get into the point of, do you think that the climatic conditions affect their voter turnout? That is not true. If you look at 2022, the counties that had the lowest voter turnout were the county of Mombasa. It is not in the northern part of the country. It is obviously in the coastal part, and it is also one of the smallest counties in the country.
So are you stating that extreme weather is not an issue? Because really,
it's not an issue.
If you compare the coastal region of the country and you compare the northernmost part of the country, I think the dynamics are a bit different in my view, but let's hear you out.
So my view is that it is not an issue. The real issue that affects voter turnout is the will of the people to go and exercise it. If they do not trust that the systems that exist will actually count their votes and deliver a result that they want, if they feel like they do not have the right options in the ballot for them to go and vote, and lastly, if IEBC does not offer the needed support for people, for example, to change their polling stations. Remember, there's someone who registered in Viga and is currently, say, working in Mwingi. There's somebody who registered in Garissa and is currently in Isli. Somebody who registered in Kaijado and is currently working in Lodwa. If you do not have the opportunity to change that vote when you need, then it also becomes very difficult. Distance is another thing, and cost. Remember, many Kenyans have not been able to change their polling stations. So it gets to election day and all the vehicles are carrying voters from Nairobi to wherever. People are being carried from Nairobi to go and vote in Vihiga. Others are being carried to go and vote in Embu. So distance is an issue, and all this blame goes into IEBC, because they need to actually educate the Kenyans that, please, if you live in Nairobi and you think you will not be able to go home and vote, can you please register in Nairobi? Bring that vote, because that is where you live. That is where you access services. That is where you use a road. That is where you get water. That is where you get electricity. Yes, your village home is okay. It is fun and everything. You can relate to them. But at this current state, you live in Mombasa. Your entire life revolves around Mombasa. So you have to actually vote from that point, and you have to support this guy. I tried in 2022 to move my vote, I think, from Narok North. I was moving it actually from the diaspora to, I think, Narok North, and it was difficult, extremely difficult. I had to go there, I think, about 3 or 4 times to just make that move, and I had to physically go there. In fact, I think there was a requirement that I was supposed to travel to, I don't remember, but it is difficult to even change your polling station. In fact, this is what I thought. You should be able to change your polling station from anywhere. I should show up in Mombasa today and change it to Lodwa without necessarily going to Lodwa. So all these things, all these issues are the ones that accumulate into voting and turnout. So number one, in terms of voting, people should be able to actually change their polling stations when they need. People should be taught the reason why they actually need to vote from where they will have an opportunity to vote. You don't need to travel. If you can vote in Nairobi, vote in Nairobi. If you can vote in Embu, vote in Embu. If you can vote in Chuka, vote in Chuka. You don't have to travel all the way back to Kisumu. You don't have to travel all the way back to Makueni for you to vote. Now, lastly, is that when it comes to elections and the election period, IEBC has a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
As I finish.
Go ahead.
IEBC has a lot of responsibility. And the responsibility here is to educate the voter. That is where they fail. It's a lot of work. Even this civic education that we talk about, it should be done by two bodies. Number one, it should be done by IEBC. And number two, it should be done through political parties. Because there is a lot of money that we put into political parties that should be able to help to educate Kenyans on the services that can be offered, the things they can do, and the choices they can make. Hey, but you know what? Political parties are not ready to do that. They want to print T-shirts and to run around with an agenda. So that is where we fail. But yeah, maybe next year it will be better. And if you get anyone who doesn't have a voter card, it would be your job and my job to ensure that they get it and to encourage people to vote from where they know they will be able to vote.
Yeah.
If you know that you work in a place where you will not be given the opportunity to travel, just transfer your vote. We can save about 5 million new voters into the system and it can change this country. My belief is that, in fact, those ones that don't travel to vote are the ones that suffer the most. They are the ones who pay taxes. They are the ones that use the roads. They are the ones that use your water systems. They are the ones who use your sewage systems. They are the ones who need lighting in their streets. There is need of lighting in your city than in my village. Thank you.
Interesting text there, Mabonga. You can listen to the way Diamonds has been able to execute his points. And he's raising very interesting aspects of why the vote is or does not count at the end of the day. Remember, our topic for the night is your vote, your voice. Do you really think as a Kenyan, when you tune in tonight, your voice as a vote has ever counted at any point? And why is it that your vote has never been of importance in the bigger collection? And that's why in the bigger picture, we're trying to figure out what should we do different in order for us to go to 2027 a different lot. Maybe to just pick your mind on this, Mabonga, Diamond says you guys are printing more T-shirts instead of doing civic education. And as a result, we end up looking very, very busy, but almost achieving zero balance when it comes to the intended purpose. Do you think the political parties in this country are, one, misusing the political party funds because they generally it's 4% that is allocated from the national budget to go to political parties, and that's a lot of money from our budget. Number two, we have the aspect of us appearing at funerals and then concluding that as money spent on civic education. Talk to me about civic education and the role of the political parties from your view and your experience so far.
What UGM is doing now, it's what needs to be done with all other political parties. What UDA is doing now in the State House, it's what should not be done by the political parties. So I will defend my political party as the United Green Movement Party, because what we are doing, it is what we are supposed to do as the political party, because we are out here moving around to ensure that we sensitize young people. I haven't seen any political party since 1963 that has gone to IEBC to demand the IEBC to come out and register people. That has only been done by the United Green Movement Party. And so what I would say is not all the political parties are the same. And that is one of the reasons why I would encourage any other person who is listening to me that you resign from your political party that you are in right now and then join the UGM as a political party, because here what we are doing with the little resources that we are having, we are trying to do as much as possible so that Kenyans can see the fruit of political parties. And so at some point I would agree with Diamond, but then at some point I wouldn't agree with Diamond. As a political party, currently the t-shirts we are printing, we are doing it for branding. And of course, every activity has its own budget. Getting IBC out there has its own budget. Traveling from Nairobi to Mombasa to Mogadishu has its own budget. And even perhaps printing those t-shirts so that you can see that the UGM are doing whatever they are doing with the little resources they are having. So I wouldn't agree more, but then I will also agree, because tell me how a political party can walk out of their office, then go to the State House, hold a meeting using public resources, using public funds, and then thereafter they come out here doing nothing. I think what the other political party has done with whatever allocation they got from the budget, they're misusing all those funds, and perhaps they're using even more than what they were allocated, because I can just imagine how much it can cost me to go and hold an event in State House. I can just imagine a whole branded event. And so, yeah, I would agree with Diamond on that. The political parties shouldn't just focus on printing T-shirts and caps to go out there and of course parrot in the State House, rather than they should print those T-shirts and come into Wajir. They go to Garissa to sensitize people on the importance of registering as voters, because civic education is part of the role of a political party. Eli.
You say that civic education is part of what a political party needs to look like. And that's why we are having this civic education class. Mabonga, the first time I heard about your political ambitions, you came to us and told us you want to vie for the Kimilili Member of Parliament seat.
Exactly.
I have calls from your village. They don't remember the last time you visited. Where have you been? Why are you not campaigning in your own home ground? What is happening?
I shouldn't be campaigning now. It's not a campaigning period. What I need to do is to engage with the people. And that is one of the things I've been doing, because if I start doing early campaigns today, Ella, I know you come from Likuyani, and soon you'll be transferring your vote from Likuyani to Kimilili. So you are part of the people whom I'm engaging. And perhaps even those who are listening to me now, those who are on social media, those who are on the ground, so at some point we shouldn't take a campaigning period from the last day an election was casted and until to the first day an election will be casted in the next cycle of election. So there is time for everything, even the Bible says. So
you call yourself an aspirant. Hear me out. You are an aspirant, all right? So in the Kenyan politics, and allow me to look like a student to you, because now you're the politician. In the Kenyan politics, an aspirant has to appear physically to the people he wants to appeal to for them to vote for him. And you say it is not time yet for campaign. What gives you an upper hand against the incumbent?
Okay. Currently, of course, I have an advantage, especially that an incumbent currently is not going to defend his seat. So most of us are
you not just praying on luck? Because that's what I hear from you. Because you are in a race. Really. This is a marathon. You don't want to do a steeplechase at the last minute.
No, not really, Eli. I think in politics you also need to plan, because I cannot just wake up today, go to Kimilili to campaign without proper planning. So at the moment, what I'm doing is to try and plan map out the hotspot area where when I will start to do my campaigns, I need to go there and see how I can engage with the people. So at the moment, what I'm doing is, and you saw what I was doing last year. I was trying to reach out to people even physically, to their shops, door to door, to introduce myself to them. I did that, and so at the moment, what I'm trying to do is to work on my end, because I wouldn't want to go to Kimilili and then, of course, the tempo that I've entered into Kimilili with, it becomes, maybe it shades away within some times. So what I'm doing now, there is plans, and the people of Kimilili knows.
I think your plan is to do what you've just said a few minutes to me. Your plan is to allow foreigners to come and vote in you, because you are banking on me transferring my vote. And that's, for me, it's a big issue, sir. Why do you think it's the best option?
You are not a foreigner. You are not a foreigner, Eli. Remember, I'm vying for an MP position. An MP position is not a village position. It's not an Omukasa position. This is a national position whereby I can be even a registered, I can be a registered voter in Nairobi, but then go to Kimilili and vie for that political seat, because it is a national position. If I was vying for MCA, just listen to me. If I was vying for an MCA position, then I wouldn't ask any other person to come and vote for me. I would just ask those people who reside into my ward to come and vote for me. Because when I go to the parliament, I'm not going there to represent only the people of Kimilili. I'm going to represent the people of Kenya. And so I'll be an MP from Kimilili, not an MP for Kimilili. You need to understand that. Remember, I mean it.
Yeah.
Remember, when I go to the parliament and then table a motion and then it is ascended to law, it will not affect only the people of Kimilili. It will affect every Kenyan. Why? Because whatever I do into the parliament, it cuts across. And that is one of the reasons why I'm asking you as ally, if you feel like Mabonga is fit to be your MP in the next parliament, then come and vote for them. It doesn't matter whether whether you come from Busia, whether you come from Mombasa, because if I will pass a finance bill, it will affect you. It won't just affect the people of Kimilili alone. So you need to understand the roles of each position, especially in these elective positions.
Mabonga,
being an MP,
Mabonga, allow me. You are quite right when it comes to the role of a member of parliament as the constitution depicts in our country. That is true. Legislate, oversight, and what is the other one? Represent, all right? Now, your limitation of representation, specific representation, now becomes the people of Kimilili Constituency. And hear me out. That is very important, and that's why there's the delimitation of boundaries. Why? That specific cohort or that specific populace of Kimilili require their specific issues to be presented to the national government through their representative. So your work, as much as reflects the final outlook of how Kenya should be, with great governance or good governance that you will present to them, and that is percolated through the rest and becomes now the national outfit, it's important. What I find a bit of bitter taste in my tongue is the issue of voter importation. Because I live in Kimilili, but I want to vote in, let's say, for example, I want to vote in where is this place that Mr. Moses Kuria wants to buy? That place, all right?
In Kiambu, for instance.
No. For example, I want to vote in Kiambu, but I live in Kimilili. How is my vote of weight when I vote in Kiambu, but expect services in Kimilili? Don't you see there's a disconnect?
Eli, if I was vying for an MCA position, I would be able to answer that. But then, why would I be a registered member, I mean, a registered voter in Mombasa, and then go to Kimilili and vie for MP, and then I'm cleared by IEBC?
Are you trying to justify the road? Because for me, that's a road. I mean, that is where
It's
the whole
not a
problem
road.
is.
It's not a road. It is not a road. Why? Because the Constitution actually stipulates clearly what are the roles of a member of parliament, right?
You know, roles are followed with a budget, right?
I mean it.
Right?
I mean it. I mean
Are
it.
roles followed
Of
with a
course,
budget?
roles are,
Is
roles
there
are
a
followed
budget
by,
allocation to the
with
roles that you're
budget.
supposed to attend to?
Do you know that the budget is not allocated to a member of parliament?
It's allocated to the
member of parliament,
constituency based on the national outlook, right?
Exactly.
Because the member of parliament will come and say, in my constituency, hear me out, in my constituency, we need to have, let's say, 20 kilometers of road tarmacked, all right? We need 5 schools renovated. We need 10 boreholes, new ones sunk, so that we can be able to present water. That then is translated to the national physical plan, all right? And that's how the monies are allocated based on the needs of these people. So when, as Eli, I go and vote in Kimilili.
Eli,
yes.
Eli, I need to interrupt you first. Remember what we are having now as CDF. It is unconstitutional, right? As a member of parliament, if I want a road in Kimilili to be renovated, then I look at the national highway, that is Kenha, right? So the only thing I need to do is to go to the parliament, and then of course present possibly, to represent my people back in Kimilili. What I'll be arguing in parliament is Kenha needs to be allocated more funds for a certain road in Kimilili. That is the role of Kenha, to go and implement that. Personally, as an MP, I would have already identified a problem, and then now it's up to the national government to come out there in Kimilili and implement what I've just identified. If the road is meant for the county government, then it's up to the MCA to go to the county assembly and then, of course, table what needs to be done, and then the county, the county assembly, the county government will now come and implement. And that is one of the reasons why the MPs are not allocated funds. They are only paid their salaries. The funds have been, the national government has been allocating those funds to the CDF, but then it is unconstitutional. So what needs to be done is, if it's the Ministry for Education, the Ministry for Roads and Transport in the national government, all these funds needs to be channeled through to the ministry, and then what the ministry needs to be, what the ministry needs to do is to come and implement what Mabonga as the MP has already identified, gone to the parliament through the representation role that I have, and even a legislation role, to go there and ensure that the road in Kimilili has already been put on the budget. After being put on the budget, my work is to oversight and see that the national government, that is the Ministry for Roads and Transport, has done what needs to be done in Kimilili so that that road can be passed all the way from Kimilili to Bungoma town. I don't have to be given money. So I can do that even in Mombasa. I can do that in Kiambu. I can do that in Kilifi, as long as I'm a member of parliament. So I wouldn't have that limit. Yeah, I'm not just representing the people of Kimilili. I'm representing you, Eli from Likuyani. I'm representing someone else from Mombasa. Yeah, of course.
All right, that is a serious political answer from my good friend Marvin. And the fact that, let's have some full disclosure here. I have come to know Marvin at a personal level, but when he's here, he has to answer questions to Kenyans. So let's not find as if I'm making him uncomfortable. It is my responsibility to make sure that he's actually answering the right questions, irrespective of the relationship that I do have with him. But Marvin, there are a lot of people who are listening in and tuned in. and probably they have also questions for you. I would love at this point to cross over back to X. And for those of you who are watching the link, you might not be able to send the real-time in chat. So what you can do is comment under the link, and I'll be able to see your live comments. That way I'm able to, come back to you within the possible response time. Abdullah is joining us on X Live. We'd love to find out what he has for us. Abdullah, the mic is yours. Kindly proceed.
Thank you, Eli, and everyone on the space for this amazing talk and conversation. So I'll be very, very brief. And first of all is to big up the UGM party for whatever they are doing. I think they are the first I've not seen in my lifetime here a political party doing a caravan to urge people to register as voters. All they used to do is just urge people to do it, but they are taking action, and that is something which is important. And you are not only doing it for Maraga, but we are doing it for the country, because these people who are being registered as voters, they will get an opportunity to exercise their political right however they want to do it. Now, there are 2 points that, one point that Diamond said that I wanted to disagree. One is that climatic conditions affect how the number of people who get registered and the number of people who vote. Kilifi it has very harsh climatic conditions. It's the same as this, and you can see that most of them were under the national turnout during the 2022 election. I think Kilifi was 55 and the entire northeastern was around 64, 63 there. So, but we had some region like Nyanza 80 and Mount Kenya, I don't know how much, but that was, it affects. Let me just put a question. Which one is more important for me, to register as a voter or to look for water and pasture for my livestock? So I will have to go to look for water and for my livestock and pasture. So what UGM are doing are actually something which is important, because they are bringing these services closer to the people. And that's why they are able to register more than 150 people in a day. There is no one who is going to spend money, time to go and register as a voter while their livestock are dying. It isn't going to happen that way. And let me just tell you one thing. In most of these counties, accessing the CDF headquarters, you pay around 2K, 24, like 600 going, 600 coming, and then lunch and everything. So no one has that money to do it. So the most important thing is to bring these offices and services to Mwananchi. Secondly, on voters turnout, I think it is time for Kenya to consider multiple days of election. It will not be. We are never going to get a higher turnout with one day, because that one day we are going to suspend our economic activities, and most of the politicians take advantage of that. Kama unaacha ndudhi hiyo siku, kazi ya ndudhi, uende uvote, ukipata na mtu anakupea dhao akwambia uenda piga picha pale ulete umenivotia, unajua umeachana na busy yako, so you take that 1,000 bob. So we need to take advantage to as leaders who like Mabonga go to parliament, and I hope they do. We need to change to bring electoral reforms. One that I really suppose they should consider is multiple days of election. One, it will assist most of these people to participate and turn out, because I can leave my camels for someone and then I go vote tomorrow, and then we can interchange. But we are not going to leave completely our economic activity just for one day to put a politician into power. It is not going to happen that way. So we are never going to get higher turnout with just a 1 day of election. Secondly, Mabonga, I have this on election reforms.
Maybe before you proceed, and please put a pin on what you want to talk to in terms of Mabonga's address. You've suggested the issue of multiple days of elections or voting, right? And I mean, the concern is, for example, the people of northern part of the country, whereby there are issues to deal with their pastoralist lifestyle. Don't you think one of the main reasons we have a 1 day election is the costing of elections in this country? It's important to consider that. Number two, even if that was to be addressed, how practical is it to have 3 days of elections, whereas 1 day already is causing us economic turmoil for those of us who have to travel, outside the home to go and vote and what have you. And last but not least, still on the same, why not consider electronic voting? The mic is yours.
Thank you. Electronic voting is actually a good alternative. One, on terms of money, our election is already expensive already. We have this issue in Kenya where we don't have a problem of money. What we have is that we exaggerate figures. The current budget that IBC is given, they can run an election for 1 or 2 days. They can do it, but we exaggerate figures. But the current budget can fit it. Let me just ask, okay, where does IBC take the money allocated to them for civic education? And they don't do it. They don't. But I agree with you that electronic voting is an option that I think we need to consider that. On spending money to travel, that electronic voting will sort out that. And we need to bring electoral reforms, because with the current one, we are not going to achieve a voter turnout, and we are not going to achieve making everyone or getting rid of voter bribery, because politicians take advantage of a 1 day election where we are going to suspend everything to vote for them. And lastly, the point that I wanted to say is that we need to consider having none of the above in the ballot, so that people can go to vote. We cannot have an election of, oh, everyone is evil, so we stay at home. We need to have none of the above. And when that none of the above go to a certain percentage, we repeat an election. India has it. We can have it. And I hope Maraga goes to the ballot so that we can have an option for us who are not comfortable with Ruto and we are not comfortable with the united opposition. Thank you so much, Eli.
Thank you very much. That is the voice of Abdullah, who is joining us live on X. And for those of you who are tuned in, thank you very much for making time to be here. We are almost coming to the end of this talk, and quite interesting takes, Mabonga. It looks like your team is getting quite some good recommendations and approvals from the general.
Of course.
Yes.
We are a very friendly team, and we are the only team that understands what Kenyans are facing, and that's one of the reasons why President Maraga can travel all the way from Nairobi to Mogadishu without boarding a plane. If it could have been someone else in the State House, then they could just fuel their plane and then drop into Mogadishu, talk to people and then leave. In fact, not engage with the people, but talk to people and then leave without even listening to their grievances and what they are facing. So I hope you've seen that Maraga is engaging with the people one-on-one. It doesn't matter whether there are 100 or 1,000, whether it's 1 or 2. He's doing that, and we do encourage even other political leaders who wants to understand what the people are going through to emulate what Maraga is doing. And so, yeah, we are a good team.
It's a good team, I agree. But are you sure
wale wenye hamuko sawa na Kasongo na the other team, the doors are open. Come here, huku tunakaa chini, tunazungumziana, tunaelewana, then we do things as what Kenyans needs to be done.
Are you sure this is not really an issue of you not being the one who is at status? Because which president will take a long trip to Mogadishu, yet they have Air Force One at their standby?
Maraga has been a
you know
president
this is
before.
very political, right? You will not.
You need to understand that Maraga has been a president before. This is not the first time he's claiming to be a president. He has been a president of the
but not
Supreme
the
Court.
commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Mabonga. And I know, it's a budget constraint.
We only have 3 arms of the government. We had 4. We had the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and Raila Odinga. But then Raila is not there, so we currently have only 3, which is the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature. And Maraga has led one of them.
All right, I think Mabonga just got political.
In Atoli's languages, Maraga has been a president.
You know that one is patented, so I hope you are ready to pay for that. Let's cross over once again back to our live audience who are joining us on X Space. We have Sir Joe, and Sir Joe, good evening to you. How can we, how can we ask you to add voice to this? We can ask you to unmute and proceed kindly. Sir Joe?
Okay, good evening, and thank you for this opportunity, Mizani.
Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you so much, and I think I have joined late for this discussion, but I'm well aware of the elephant in the room of what you guys are talking about the current affairs of the state. About basically it's about 1 term, 2 term, Kasongo, and everything. But for me, what I just wanted to say on this space is that obvious as Kenyan youths, we are really in need of a change in the system, a change in governance. And personally, I really follow this guy called Miguna a lot, Dr. Miguna. And Miguna always says that what we need in Kenya is that we need a real, what you call a real revolution. We need a revolution in Kenya. There is no change that will happen in the ballot. And history has also shown us, times without number, that there is no any part in the world that change has happened in the ballot. If you go to the history of France, it's one and the same. Remember during the French Revolution, people were crying about food, high cost of living, everything had gone up. And people went to the street and they did a revolution whereby they removed King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. It also happened in Russia in 1917, whereby Vladimir Lenin led a revolution, and the prices of food and the general living, the way of living of people, at least their lives improved. So, fellow Kenyans and to my fellow youths, for me, to be honest, to change the system, it will not ever happen in the ballot. Even if they try to change the electoral processes. For example, I think you said that at least they try to do election reforms. They will just do obvious to impress you. The IEBC CEO will resign. They will bring another one. But at the end of the day, these things are always predetermined. That's according to my view. They're always predetermined. Who will be the president, even if you do a re-election? Obvious, these things are always predetermined. So all these things will not change in the ballot, but a people must come together in one accord and do a revolution to change the system, to change the people living standards, to change the cost of food, to change everything. All these things, history has shown us that they never happen in the ballot. They always happen in the streets. So the streets are always the places that will help the people on earth. That's my take.
Thank you very much. That is Joe, and quite an interesting take. Yes.
Hello, I also want to agree with Sajo at some point, but then disagree. It's true that the revolution happens. It doesn't happen in the ballot. It do happens on the streets. But then if I look back in 2002, when the revolution happened and Moi's project was toppled down, I think it was done on the ballot. So we have two options. It's either to go the French Revolution way, or we have both options. And so we shouldn't just measure into one option. Personally, I'd advise Kenyans that we try both options. If one fails, then let us have option B, that is plan B. But if we just measure into one, it will be so hard for us to realize that change. But Sir John needs to understand that it has never happened in Kenya on the ballot. That is in 2002. I was barely 2 years old. Anyway.
Can I say something?
Just a minute maximum, please.
Okay, thank you so much, Kane. Maybe I can just clarify this, that if you look at the 2002, which you are referring to, of which I agree, that is the same year that I was born, in 2002. And I read history a lot, so that's why I know a lot. If you look at, in 2002, Mwai Kibaki is the one who won the election. And to be honest, for me, even Mwai Kibaki, Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Charity Ngilu, George Saitoti, for me, that was just the same system. Nothing changed. All those people who were in the old system, all those individuals, at some point they were in the KANU regime. So what I'm talking about is a change in the whole system. Then lastly, if you take a good example of what just happened recently, for example, the elections that the by-elections that happened the other day, for example, between Wamudende and Karis in Mbeere North. By any chance, if Karis could have won that election, Karis of DP, the United Opposition candidate, if Karis could have won, I'm sure, I'm telling you that even Ruto will have been okay. For Mudende to win that election, even the United Opposition were okay with that. The only problem that could have come in between these two set of different leaders, the United Opposition and the UDA part, the only problem that could have happened is when another individual that is not from the United Opposition or the government could have won that position. So what I mean is the change in a system. So in 2027, even if Rigathi Gachagua wins the 2027 election, the system wins. Even if Ruto wins in 2027, the system wins. Even if Kalonzo wins, the system wins. So we need a new blood in the system, a total change in the DNA of the system. That's my point.
All right. Quite interesting there. Maybe it brings us to the second part of this question, which was a fresh start, or is it just a recycle plant? Because in his own words, Mabonga has told us that President Kinani Maraga has been president. He was one of the arms of government. So I tend to agree with Sajo when he says the system wins. Is this another recycle plant, Mabonga? But before that, allow me one more caller online. We have Diamond, and then we come back to you. Diamond, the mic is yours. Diamond, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Proceed.
I wanted to quickly pick on something on this election turnout. I wanted to just say Nairobi had about 55% turnout. Nairobi is neither a very hot county. It is also not a sparsely populated county. It is also not one of the counties in the north. So I think voter turnout is a factor of many things. It's a Vihiga, for example, I think had about also 56% voter turnout. Kakamega almost the same. So this issue of voter turnout it's bigger than just weather conditions. I think it's more tied to the incentive for the voter. Do they trust that the election will count? Have they been educated enough? I think also another item is, do they trust the process? Do they also have a candidate that they want to choose? Sometimes people don't feel like they have the right person that they want, so they decide not to go and vote. But I think most of that is tied to education. In terms of having Kenyan elections in more than one day, I don't even trust IEBC with my vote for 6 hours. I really don't know. I really don't know if I can trust them for more than 24 hours. In fact, the process is usually such a complicated process that Kenyans want to stay there and see the vote being counted. We have a serious trust issue. And there are also many forces which try to manipulate an election. Last year, 2022, I think 2 or 3 returning officers were shot. One, in fact, the returning officer for Embakasi East was killed. Until today, we've never been told who killed him. I think also in Eldas, Wajir, the MP is alleged to have shot someone and killed them. I don't know if it's an alleged, I don't have all the details, but there was a shooting that happened. You can look at that outside. You can look at that. In Kimilili, where Mabonga is vying, there was also an incident, and the sitting MP is alleged to have shot someone and killed them within the election period. So I really think we do not have the trust that's needed to even allow IBC to have our votes for more than 24 hours. The process becomes complex. The process of actually taking care of the voter, the ballot boxes to ensure that no one is stuffing things inside, it becomes complex. It also might double the cost. Today we are talking about 60 billion for an election. It's one of the most expensive elections in the world. So I think there are quite a number of issues that might be needed to be looked at around that space. Thank you. I can see your hand is up. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. A lot of issues that still need to be looked into. Unfortunately, time is not a luxury for us tonight. We need to call this an end. But before that, I would like, Mabonga to clarify just 1 or 2 issues from what we've been able to discuss. Mabonga, the system wins. Is it a recycle plant or is it a fresh start? What is UGM and you all about?
Remember the person whom we are having as a presidential candidate. This person has never been a politician, and you'll understand that. He has never had that political ambition. I remember during the 2024 and 2025 Gen Z agitation, specifically 2024, most of us wanted a total overhaul of the system. We wanted to send all the CAM orphans packing. We wanted to send Kasongo and his cronies packing. And so after doing that, we asked ourselves, then who will take over? We tried a few individuals. Kebaso was here. I remember, you guys remember him. Kebaso was here. Unfortunately, things went south. We tried a few individuals, but things didn't go well. And then some of us actually sat down and asked ourselves, then who? But then we remember that we want to, a leader whom we want in an office is an accountable leader, a leader who values humanity, a leader who is transparent, and all those translates to good governance. Remember, as the Gen Zs, we had only three grievances: accountability, transparency, and good leadership. So some of us sat down. We had a list of several individuals, but then none of them could pass the test of what we were looking to. And so we find out that the only man who has been tried and tested before is a man who stood with the Constitution and with the people in the 2017 general election, and it was none other than David Maraga, because during that time, when the country was about to go into, to burn down, what happened is this man challenged the status quo and actually nullified an election of a sitting president. To top on it, after 3 years, he actually read the Constitution, understood the Constitution, and then came out to give directives to the president, by then President Uhuru Kenyatta, to dissolve to dissolve the parliament for not meeting the 2/3 gender rule. So after realizing that this man is also a man who has ever, the only man who has ever stood, held a Bible and declared that he has never taken a bribe and he will never take a bribe. But then after that, there is no any other person who came through and said, I've ever given Maraga a bribe, so he shouldn't lie to us. That is why we decided that it should be Maraga to come reset, restore, and rebuild this country, and then pass it over to the next generation. So from my end, I wouldn't say Maraga is a project. And of course, if he's a project, then he is a people's project. And that's why from time, since he declared that he is going to vie, he has been there to talk about the issues that affect the citizens. He has, at his age, he has come out of his retirement to come and engage with the people and see how they can work together to ensure that our country is reset, rebuilt, and given back to the owners in the same way that it should have been given back. So I would say Maraga is the perfect person whom we can have, the perfect choice at the moment, because this is a person who has never been in the political space. He has zero allegiance to all other shenanigans that we have in this country. But what he wants to do is just to give back to Kenyans what belongs to them. And so I would say he's a perfect person, and come rain, come shine, I will rally behind it. Eli.
Well, quite a take there, Mabonga, and that brings us towards the end of this conversation tonight. It has been amazing hanging out with you tonight. I know there's so much that is packed up for you tomorrow, and that's why you must call it a night from your end, and therefore we will gracefully allow you to take a leave. But as you do that, the vote of the young people in this country remains fundamental in the agitation for better governance. No one can underestimate the role the youth play in this country, including the building of our economy and our social fabric. But that said, it remains a bit disturbing when you see a number of young people who are qualified to vote still struggling or not really decisive about how and when they are going to choose how to register as voters. And that's why we are asking all of us to take that first initiative to stand up and be counted. And maybe that's why Mabonga and team are pitching camp in the northern part of the country. I saw you swimming and I thought, kwani pia watu wa Bukusu huwa mnaswim? I thought you only play chinyimba.
Sisi tumepiga dufumpararo pale kwa river bana. Hiyo experience bado tuko nayo. Take
All
me
right.
anywhere in a deep and I'll swim.
All right. And that's definitely the bigger picture. We want to appreciate all of you for tuning in and listening through the talk on behalf of Mizani 254 and every other person that made this a possibility. We want to say very many thanks. I'll be seeing you in the next one this coming Tuesday. Stay tuned for the Thursday Tuesday that happens on Code FM. And on Wednesday, we have a very interesting conversation with an interesting guest, which will be happening live on our socials. So make sure to tune in. Of course, you can also listen in by simply dialing kotfm.co.ke on your website so that you'll be able to go and listen to the conversation that is about female genital mutilation. We are having an advocate of the High Court of Kenya to come and speak to us about these issues and the kind of efforts that are being put in place to address the issue. On Thursday, we look at a very delicate matter. You know, there has been suggestion of chemical castration for offenders who commit rape, among others. Let's find out how that rolls out on Thursday, and definitely that is what is lined up for you during this week. I'll be seeing you in the next one. My name is Likiani Eli. On behalf of my guest, Mabonga from UGM party, who has said he's pitching camp in the capital and other places before he goes back kutafuta kura nyumbani. Let's hope he can be able to get what he deserves as a young Kenyan who is decisive on the kind of leadership he wants to see. This has been The Bigger Picture.
To advertise with us, reach us via the email marketing.ke or call us on 0714